All right, let's get started. Thanks for joining me. I'm Sebastian Felix from the West Campus. I am a coordinator for Student Connection Community, and thanks for coming to the Student Organization Summer Workshop Series. The topic this week is self-care as a leader, something that's very important for all of us, even our professional staff here. The agenda looks like this. We'll talk about the stressors in the leadership role, how self-care and why it matters, and some resources we have here at ASU. So let's get started. Stressors in the leadership role, I would say lots of pressure when you're a student organization and club leader, whether it's the president or the vice president or whatever, whatever. But yeah, you get pressure from transitioning to a new role because you want to meet the expectations from the previous officer, and you also get pressured on what's expected from you. You also stress about balancing responsibilities from the workplace or student org and your personal life. There's times where officers or leaders lack in commitment, and there's times where they overcommit. Some leaders may stress out because there's a lack in commitment from other officers, and so they're stuck doing all the work. And sometimes that's the overcommit side. So they just commit into and put so much into the club, and they become overwhelmed. You can also get stressed because of the lack of communication between officers. I think a team doesn't work together, and you're as strong as your weakest link, and so I think everyone has to communicate effectively in order to not be stressed. Another stressor that comes from running the student org would be lack in attendance, I would say. Many times club leaders think that the attendance represents the club, and they shouldn't think like that. Whoever's working on the club and whatever I guess whatever the club is playing out there is what matters, not the attendance. Another stressor that can affect student leaders would be officer and member conflicts, and that can also involved with balancing professional relationships with personal relationships. And an example of that is basically having friends on your student org team and making sure you balance your personal life and your friendship with them and your professionalism as well, and make sure they just don't cross and I guess stress you out. I'm kind of gonna ask you guys for some examples you can think of. I know we have some student leaders in here and professional staff, so if you can just give one example, appreciate it. All right, let's move on. Why self-care matters. Believe it or not, you're a role model for others, for a lot of students, whether it's a member or maybe another organization officer. They look up to you, and if you're not okay, it basically doesn't give them permission. They feel as if they don't have permission to be okay as well, and so you just have to take care of yourself and make sure your members can see that. Self-care also helps with your self-esteem and helps you value yourself, and that's something that's very important. As I mentioned before, we have those overcommitting officers, and basically if you overcommit, it leads to burnout, and we don't want that. So by self-caring, you'll minimize that and make sure you have time for yourself and your mental health. And self-care also helps develop a healthier relationship with your officers and your general members. How self-care? I would say one of these would be communication. I believe that's the number one step. Whenever there's a conflict or any stress in the leadership role, in the leadership role, one of the big parts would be communication. And so I say that because it's very important to communicate the concerns you have about your student or club with other officers, and make sure you figure it out together, not by yourself. Make sure you communicate and delegate responsibilities, just because, like I said, sometimes most of the stress comes from overcommitting And so you gotta delegate and make sure that you're not taking on a lot of work and adding too much to your plate. Another way to self-care would be like, I guess self-care sessions. You sometimes need a break from student organ club responsibilities. So make sure you rest and recover, and make sure you let your officers and your members know so that they can respect that as well. Focus on your strengths. Make sure to not only, I wouldn't say necessarily ignore your weaknesses, but focus on your strengths and make sure you have goals I guess, to better yourself. But resources we have here at ASU, as well as at ASU, which deals with counseling services, health services, and Sun Devil Fitness. Uh, it's a really great resource for all ASU students. The link is below if you wanna go to that. But they have lots of resources, and I guess if you're not necessarily in the role where you have to self-care and you see someone else that's not in the best spot, you can go on this website and just read some signs that you can identify, some signs of distress and what you can do about it. But yes, super, super cool. Sun Devil Fitness offers lots of wellness events, and so you can attend these and de-stress. This QR code, if you scan it, will take you to Sun Devil Sync, the Sun Devil Sync Fitness and Wellness page, and that has lots of events that involve self-care, wellness, and lots of ways you can, I guess, de-stress. Next resource we have here at ASU, I would say, would be our little de-stress fest/weeks. We have these typically on the last week of each semester. And so we have events every single day of the week that involve self-care. And typically clubs are done at this point, the very last week of school. And so you will have more time to take part in these activities and make sure you end the semester with not too much stress on your plate, and just remember to de-stress for finals. But yeah, this QR code, like I said, will take you to the fitness and wellness events on Sun Devil Sync. And if you actually go there now, you'll see some already in play.